The time for convening has arrived. Senate will come to order. Recognize the good senator from the 42nd, our new Attorney General, right there.
Well, not yet, Mr. President. With your help.
General.
This is a little odd because isn't this where Senator Mullis used to sit when he did this?
I think that's correct.
I would do an impersonation, but I don't think I should.
That's correct.
Mr. President, hopefully I can state this. I think it's true that the journal has been read and has been found to be correct. I'm not sure if I'm all supposed to make a motion that we waive the reading at this time. Is that correct? I'll make that motion.
Yep. All right. Well, you did a wonderful job in reading the journal there, Senator. So proud
Just
of
read
you.
it.
Yeah. Is there objection to the dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions introduced, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. Secretary, read first reading.
Senate Bill 5EX by Senator Hatch of the 50th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a homestead exemption for the city of Toccoa ad valorem taxes in the amount of the assessed value of the homestead property determined
State and
annually.
local government.
Senate Bill 60EX by Senator Hatch of the 50th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for a homestead
State and local
exemption.
government.
Senate Bill 70EX by Senator Sims of the 12th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for a homestead exemption from Webster County ad valorem
State and
taxes.
local government.
Senate Bill 8EX by Senator Sims of the 12th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a homestead exemption from the city of Plains. Senate Bill 9EX by Senator Sims of the 12th, a bill to be entitled an act to
State and
provide.
local government.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
Secretary, read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. The Senate Bill 1EX do pass, Senate Bill 2EX do pass, Senate Bill 4EX do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon of the 45th District Chairman. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 42nd.
Mr. President, is it time for sine die?
It's always in order.
It's always in order. Well, instead, let's start with Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that the morning roll call be dispensed with, though if I've got to be here, why don't they have to be here, Mr. President?
It's a great question, Senator. Great question. Any objection to that? Without objection, roll call suspended. It is now time for the morning devotion. I ask that all senators please take their seats and cease all conversation. I would ask the doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. I will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, and then I will introduce the pastor of the day. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Georgia flag.
I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage.
It is my honor to introduce Charles Gardner here today. He is someone who's been to this chamber many times before, but it's very nice to have him here. He's a longtime Atlantean, graduated from Redan High School right here in Atlanta, Georgia, and he pastors the Redwood Church here in Atlanta. Dr. Charles is had a long and distinguished career here as a member of the Methodist Church before he joined Redwood Church. He's a graduate of Georgia Tech Theology School, the Candler School of, he's graduate of Georgia Tech and also the Candler School of Theology at Emory University. And we are so happy to have him today. He and his wife Shannon have one child, Zach, who's a recent graduate of Princeton University. And Dr. Charles enjoys spending time with his family and all kinds of other outdoor activities with his family. Let's give him a warm welcome here today. Dr. Charles.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Secretary, my dear friend, it's the first time I've been able to serve here and to say Mr. Secretary and senators, guests. Pleasure to be with you on a Saturday morning. I've been since then, but Secretary looked it up. I thought I recalled during 2020 being here on a Saturday session, and sure enough, it was exactly 6 years ago today, Saturday, June 20th. As rare as Saturdays are, y'all have been stuck with me twice on a Saturday when we've gathered in the summer for sessions. So I was so delighted to get the call on Thursday to come and serve with y'all this morning. I didn't make it last session. It was the first session in probably, or last couple of sessions in about 8 years that I had not been able to come and serve with y'all and spend some time with you. So honored to be here this morning, and I won't keep you. I know y'all want to get your work done and get back to your Saturday and the summer. So, you know, when you get a call to come do this, there's a couple ways preachers go. And one of them is they look in their file and they try to find something that they can pick out and will work for the day. And I've just tried not to do that. And the other way is you try to look at what's going on around you and what's something that's going on that I can use to offer a few words of encouragement. And as I thought about this, what's going on today, as we sit here today, there were so many things that kind of were inspiring to me that I could have jumped off from. First of all was 2 weeks from today, we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And what an incredible celebration to acknowledge the 250th anniversary of that day and our great nation. And so that was one place I could jump off. The second place I could jump off was that tomorrow is the summer solstice. It's the longest, the most daylight we'll have throughout the year. And so the earth is tilted on its axis closest to the sun in the northern hemisphere. And then 30 years after hosting the 1996 Olympic Games, we've once again welcomed the world to our doorstep, and we've had incredible matches already at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta Stadium. Get in trouble. I don't want to run afoul of FIFA this morning. And Europeans are just flocking to Waffle House and Buc-ee's, and they're sending home cases of ranch dressing so that when they get back, that they will be fully stocked for their dipping sauces when they get home. And tomorrow is also Father's Day. And so, Mr. President mentioned, if you allow me just a quick moment of personal privilege, my son, Zach, has served as a page here in this chamber a number of years ago, and he did indeed graduate. Get a little emotional thinking about it. Graduated from Princeton University, summa cum laude, back in May. And so to see him as a little boy running around, bringing pieces of paper to you guys, to standing there, a pretty powerful moment. So, I didn't expect that this morning. So what I'm going to try to do is the worst thing a preacher can possibly do is I'm going to take all 4 of those things and try to fit them into the next 2 minutes, because I've got 5 and I've almost used them all up. We got plenty. We're still waiting on everybody to get here. So one of the most humbling days in my life was when I looked around and I noticed that my son was imitating me. You look back and you realize that it's no longer just caring for his basic needs, but you are now showing him the way. And I realized that that period of time would be short of how I would be able to influence him. And I knew that I was going to have good days, but I knew I was going to have a lot of really bad days too. And I needed to make sure that on my good days, that I was doing the things necessary so that he could grow to be the man who God created him to be. You see, light is an important part of our world. As we think about the summer solstice, we think about light, we think about Georgia and our agriculture industry and how much we depend on light to grow our crops, to feed our economy, to fill our bellies. And so as we come to the day in which we will appreciate the most sun we enjoy in the year, we think about that light, and we think about God's light. In Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, he reminds us that we are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and gives light to all the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. One of the early Puritans, John Winthrop, quoted that when planning to settle in Boston, he talked about a shining city upon a hill, and President Reagan, in his address to the nation, his final address to the nation, recalled those same words. I believe they were as aspirational as they were inspirational. So the city of Atlanta, the state of Georgia, the United States of America, all beacons of light in a world that desperately needs light to shine upon us. And I believe in all of these good things, we have so much for which to be thankful. We have made such progress toward becoming not just the people, but the country that we need to be. And so just as I need to set an example for my son and make sure that he can follow in my footsteps, our city, our state, our country continues to need to be a light to the world. I believe that we are that light. Others will disagree with me. Others will mock me. This is a great city in which I was raised, the best state in the Union, and the best country in the world. But we can be better. We can continue to strive to reach the aspirations that are set before us. And so while I'm glad that our friends have enjoyed some late night smothered, covered, and scattered, seen the biggest gas stations in the world. I'm not a ranch guy myself, but I'm glad have discovered it. What we still have to share with our city and our state and our world is not some dressing and some big buildings. It's freedom. It's prosperity. It's a belief that we together can all be better. May it be so. Will you pray with me? Almighty God, we give you thanks for this day. I thank you for the men and women who are gathered in this place, who answered your call to put themselves forth, to be elected to serve their neighbors, their brothers and their sisters, to come to this place to deliberate, to make decisions, to help lift all Georgians. And God, we trust that your light shines in and through each and every one of us. Oh God, we ask that we would be clear vessels of that light so that the world might know that this is a place where your light shines, that the world may continue to look to us to lead the way. Bless us this day, throughout the rest of this session, and throughout the rest of this summer. I offer this prayer in the name of Christ my Lord. Amen.
All right. Are we ready to start now? Are there any unanimous consents? Hey, Doc. Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Recognize the senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to remind everybody, I put on the people that are members of the Education and Youth Committee, we've got a meeting at 8 o'clock Monday morning, and I put it on your desk, and along with the kind of a little bit of the synopsis of the bill, 1193, as a reminder is that we're bringing in the agencies to tell us how they're implementing House Bill 1193, which is a big literacy bill. I think it'd be very important because this bill got passed, as you well know, right at the end of the session. And I want you to know what's in the bill, and I want you to be able to hold us accountable that the agencies implement the bill the way it's supposed to be. So 8 o'clock Monday morning in CLOB 606. And there'll be breakfast for members of the committee available. Thank you.
Any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Senator from the 35th, are you want to rise on a point of personal privilege?
Good morning, and thank you, colleagues. Just want to read a stanza from, well, actually a couple of lines from the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and I think it may be fitting for a time like this. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. And at the very end, it says, in the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. This is my favorite part here. As he died to make men holy, let us live to make man free, while God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Every time UGA scores and we hear glory, glory, I'm learning to think about this last stanza that says, as he died to make men holy, let us live to make men free, while God is marching on. Happy Juneteenth. Happy celebration for freedom, and I'm looking forward to celebrating America 250. His truth is marching on.
Senator from the 43rd, would you like to point of personal privilege? That's you, babe. That's you. You're 43rd. 43rd.
No, I thought you said 49. Thank you, Mr. President. I thought you called another senator. Well, good morning, colleagues. Happy June 14th, part 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so on. I stood up before you on Thursday, Juneteenth Eve, adorned in my beautiful flower of original colors of green, gold, black, and red. Those are the foundational colors, the motherland, our roots, our native land, our heritage. And today, I stand before you adorned in our Juneteenth colors of red, white, and blue. This creation came as a newly designed flag in 1997 and updated in 2000. These colors are still representative of freedom and the end of slavery. The red, white, and blue is representative of the Juneteenth fruit of my people. The people who built this country with their bare hands, their blood, sweat, and tears. From the earliest days of the nation, enslaved Africans and African Americans provided the forced labor that built much of the country's core fiscal infrastructure. They constructed iconic government buildings, including the U.S. Capitol and the White House. They also built extensive early roadways, thousands of miles of railways, and vital defensive and commercial infrastructures, such as the actual wall that gave Wall Street its name in 1653. Enslaved laborers powered the agricultural industries that made the early United States globally competitive. The unpaid labor involved in producing lucrative commodities like cotton, tobacco, sugar, and rice generated much of the wealth that fueled the nation's early economic expansion. Beyond manual labor, Black Americans had been responsible for major architectural and engineering feats. For over 2 centuries, pioneering Black-owned firms such as the McKissick Family Construction Company, having designed and built major American landmarks, ranging from educational institutions and airports to modern corporate headquarters and sports arenas. Black Americans have profoundly shaped American culture, most notably through foundational contributions to global art forms like blues, jazz, country, rock and roll, and hip-hop. These are the leaders that have redefined the nation's democratic ideals through civil rights movements, legal challenges, and political population. They are the inventors of the traffic light, the ironing board, the elevator, the light bulb, open heart surgery, and hair care products, to name a few. This, too, is our America, the red, white, and blue. And every Juneteenth celebration marks these moments. It's a celebration of liberation of our ancestors, our families, our communities, our history, our legacy, and our future. It also reminds us of a deeper truth. Freedom has never arrived on its own. Every gain Black people have made in this country has come because ordinary people organized, resisted, and fought to make freedom real. That work did not end in 1865, and it has not ended today. We will continue to celebrate Black History Month, honor the freedom fighters who came before us, and recommit ourselves to protecting Black political power from generations to come. Juneteenth is centered on Black joy, community, and collective action. Juneteenth is an opportunity for all Americans to commit fully to liberty, justice, and equity in this country. When the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, it declared that Black slaves are and henceforth shall be free. Since then, Black communities have been fighting for liberation to its fullest extent. The First Amendment, Brown versus Board of Education, the March on Washington, the Civil Rights Act recently gutted, but we found and we could fight and we will continue to fight for it. Voting rights, economic justice, and the promised future. Right now, attacks on Black communities are coming from all directions. We face attempts to weaken Black political power, silence Black voices, and roll back the progress generations fought to achieve. From the root to the fruit, to the wings to fly above the fray of injustice and inequity, we remain resilient, courageous, bold, brilliant, blessed, and determined. And we stand ready. Happy Juneteenth.
You did yield the well. You did wonderful. I'm so proud of you, Senator. You've only been up here about 10 years, you know. Recognize the senator from the 55th.
I rise, ladies and gentlemen, to say something very, very simple. Not only happy Juneteenth, but there are those that seek to divide us. There are those that seek to separate us. They separated us at the water hose. We couldn't even eat at the same table. We couldn't go to the same restrooms. And those same games are being played right now. This morning I heard that 5 white men admittedly got behind closed doors and created a deal for us to vote on and would not even allow the committee to do one amendment. And you're going to engross it today, and you won't let us do an amendment in here. So democracy is still alive, and you will not kill the spirit of America. America is strong. And 5 white men, who are those 5 white men? I don't know, and it's not even important. I saw some good-spirited people outside those doors today. They told me they suggested how I should vote on a bill we're going to take up today. And I told them something. They were all white, they were all Republican, but they're good people. They're good people. I told them to go get some black people in your group because I'm tired of people dividing us. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are one America. I love you guys. And anyone that comes against the spirit of America will be defeated. We've defeated Bull Corner. We've defeated the whip. You know, my mother told me, she's 92 years old. And maybe she told me before, but she was telling me about all the things that happened in our family. How my grandmother had to go get a shotgun to keep people off of my granddad because they were coming for my granddad. And they took our land right down here in Griffin, Georgia, where I'm going today for Juneteenth celebration. I don't even know where that land is, but it was our land. We owned it. But there are people trying to separate us still to this day. It's just a lie, and the truth will prevail. Truth crushed to earth will rise again. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it marches toward justice. Thank you. Thank you. And I do say to all of my friends, we got to come together. I love you. Bless you.
Recognize the senator from the 36th.
Good morning, colleagues. Good Saturday morning. I want to take some time in the well today to address a concern that has deeply impacted neighborhoods that I represent right here around the Capitol. You may or may not be aware of it. We know we all come from all across this great state to do the people's business here at the General Assembly. But we all remember the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, do we not? Right here in the shadow of the Gold Dome. The Olympic cauldron was crafted by an artist and installed. The flame was memorably struck and lit by Muhammad Ali. who's gone on to his reward. And it has stood in a neighborhood that has taken a lot of tribulations from having a big stadium here, all these one-way streets that you get crazy over there when you go down the street to the Georgia Avenue area. Crowds coming in and out with their cars, just is an enormous impact on our neighborhood that they bore for years. They've now packed off to the Battery in Cobb County, said that's where their people were, but we'll leave that for another day. But now word comes to this neighborhood that with no consultation of the neighborhood leadership, and it's the Neighborhood Planning Unit V, for many years where that cauldron has stood, it's been in the Summerhill neighborhood, right there at the intersection of Capitol Avenue and Fulton Street. But this change that was announced in 2026 is they're going to take the top portion of the cauldron and relocating it to Centennial Olympic Park in downtown Atlanta. And my constituents are here today urging the opportunity to have a fair chance to have a discussion and to keep that part of the Olympic legacy in this neighborhood where it was crafted and by an artist and installed and has stood proudly since the 1996 Olympics. And they are saying, please don't seize this important part of our neighborhood's history and carry it away, again, with no consultation. No consultation, just an announcement by the powers that be that they're going to move it. So when you wonder why people feel powerless and feel resentment and feel being left out and marginalized, it's when things like this occur all too frequently. So I rise to speak for the residents of Neighborhood Planning Unit V, Summerhill, and Grant Park to bring their message to you today. Thank you.
Recognize Senator from the 17th.
Oops. Wait a minute, let's see. Oh. Mr. President, please just give me a minute. This technology here. Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues and guests. I rise today to congratulate President and Mrs. Barack Obama on the opening of the Obama Presidential Center, which includes a library, museum, and much, much more, and open it on Juneteenth. Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day and Emancipation Day, is a holiday and observance in the United States that celebrates the anniversary of the abolition of slavery in Texas on June 19, 1865. In the United States, slavery began shortly after the first English colonists arrived and lasted until the Emancipation Proclamation came into effect on January the 1st, 1863. On that date, Texas was largely controlled by forces fighting for the Confederate States, which opposed the abolition of slavery. On June the 19th, 1865, nearly 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by President Abraham Lincoln, Union soldiers arrived to take control of Texas and enforce the emancipation of slaves in the state. In Galveston, the newly freed slaves held large public celebrations, laying the foundation for future Juneteenth activities. So, Juneteenth is an annual observance on June 19th to remember that when Union soldiers enforced the Emancipation Proclamation and freed all the remaining slaves in Texas on June the 19th, 1865. So today, we join the rest of the country and many countries around the world in celebrating freedom and equal rights in the United States. This year, as we observe America's 250th birthday, we also remember that 400 years of slavery against black people in this country and the challenges we continue to face. So today, many black Americans still struggle to find affordable health care and affordable housing. We are also still fighting against those stripping voting rights from black people and gerrymandering districts to eliminate black people of color from elected office. We have had obstacles before, but Juneteenth is an example of hope fulfilled and a commitment to keep hope alive. Yesterday, I attended 2 Juneteenth celebrations in my district, one in the city of Jonesboro and one in the city of Stockbridge. So we stopped today and this whole weekend to celebrate Juneteenth. And we congratulate the President and First Lady of the United States of America back from 2008 to 2016. And congratulate the Obamas on the opening of the Presidential Center. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield the wheel.
Does any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Senator from the 28th.
Okay.
Do it from right there, Senator.
Hello, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for letting me speak from my seat. It's been a lot of things going on in, I'm sure, all of our lives while we were starting this special session. So for the flowers that the Senate sent me and the different caucuses sent my mother, I thank you. They were beautiful. And Mr. President, the one from you and your wife were the prettiest flowers in the whole funeral of 100 or more flowers. But I want to thank you for that. But I want to give, I don't see the dean right now, but I know that he lost his brother 2 days ago, and he's been here with us still. He has to go down, his only brother that's left. So I want to give honor. Where's the dean? Senator Harbison. He's out of the chamber for a minute now, but he was here when I first wanted to speak. So please, if you see him, offer him what you've done for me that comforted me and got me through these last few days. When you lose your loved one, it's very difficult, as you know. But I also wanted to wish all of you a happy Father's Day. And it's that special. I know it's Juneteenth, and I know that we celebrate it because former Senator Lester Jackson and myself put that bill in about 10 years ago to create Juneteenth. And it took us 2 different sessions, but we did create it, and then from that point on, it became a reality here in the state of Georgia. But it caught on, and the Congress did it the very next year for the whole country. So I know it is, but it's Father's Day. It's the day where we give a special honor to those who raised us. So for whether you're a father or even a mother that's a single parent, We can be fathers sometime too, if we don't spare the rod. I was just kidding. But thank you, thank you, thank you. And then please give Senator Harbison, I was supposed to say the number, right? But your love for his brother who passed away 2 days ago. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.
So you have before you a consent calendar of privileged resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove the resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the local consent calendar? Chair hears none. The resolutions on the consent calendars are adopted. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 5EX by Senator Jackson of the 41st and others, a resolution commemorating Juneteenth, recognizing the history and meaning of Juneteenth holiday and honoring the struggle for freedom, equality, and full citizenship for Black Americans and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to the resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Secretary, read the caption. Are there any other motions to withdraw or commit? You have before you a consent calendar of local bills. Mr. Secretary, have there any objections been filed to any of the bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, no objections have been filed.
Is there objection to agreeing to the report committee on the state and local government operations, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. Questions on the passage of the bill on the local consent calendar? All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Needs 38 votes. Need 38 votes. Make it. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 33 and the nays are 18, and this bill has failed. Recognize the majority leader.
Mr. President, I move the Senate reconsider its action in the failing to pass the local consent calendar.
So the majority leader has served notice, and we will consider it later in the morning here, but I fully anticipate the senator from the 41st objecting to it, so that will be duly noted as well. So. Senate, stand at ease for about 15 minutes. Recognize the senator from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the second.
Second, without objection. Well, hey, when we come back in, Senator, we'll excuse him then.
Yes, sir.
All right, we've standing at ease right now.
Thank you.
The Senate will come back to order. Secretary has a message from the House.
Mr. President, the following message was received from the House through Mr. Riley, the clerk thereof. Mr. President, the House has adopted by the requisite constitutional majority the following resolution of the House. House Resolution 3EX by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others. A resolution ratifying Governor Brian P. Kemp's Executive Order number 05.15.26.02, suspending the collection of motor fuel and diesel fuel taxes and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize Senator from the 50th. For what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I give notice that at the appropriate time, I will move to engross H.R. 3EX.
All right, it is appropriate time now.
I make that motion.
Make that motion to engross. Secretary, read the caption.
House Resolution 3EX by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others. A resolution ratifying Governor Brian P. Kemp's Executive Order number 05.15.26.02, suspending the collection of motor fuel and diesel fuel taxes and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
All right, this bill will be assigned to Finance. However, is there objection to the Senator from the 50th engrossment? All right, all those in favor of the Senator from the 50th engrossment motion will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 33, the nays are 19, and this motion has prevailed. And the chair does assign it to Finance. Senator from 26, for what purpose do you rise?
parliamentary inquiry
State your inquiry.
on this bill that we engross. Why is it that the minority leader of both houses, the Senate as well as the House, are not appointed to the committee?
We hadn't engrossed that bill, Senator. We engrossed the gas tax.
Well, I just need to read them.
You look good today, though, I'm telling you. I like the purple on you. Senator from the 43rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to ask for
Unanimous consent?
unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 44th and the 10th.
44th and the 10th. Without objection, they are excused. You look good too, Senator. I want to make sure I'm passing all the love around here. Are there any other motions to engross? Any other motions to engross? All right. Moving on. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 3EX by Senator Burns of the 23rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to elections and primaries generally so as to establish the Election Equipment Specifications and Standards Committee to establish the specification standard requirements for a new uniform system of election equipment, to provide for reporting, to provide for the extent to which the Secretary of State is authorized to provide for the selection, certification, or procurement of a new uniform system of election equipment, to declare certain actions void and ultra vires, to amend an act relating to elections and primaries approved May 6, 2024, Senate Bill 189, so as to revise an effective date, to provide for related matters, to provide for an effective date, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senate Committee on Ethics recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson, Chairman. Mr. President, minority report has been attached.
Recognize Senator from the 23rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I bring you Senate Bill 3EX. It's an election bill. It does three things. It creates an Election Equipment Specification and Standards Committee. It moves the implementation date from SB 189 to January the 1st of 2028 and requires additional audits to ensure that our elections are safe and secure. I anticipate that we will look toward some adjustments, but at that, Mr. President, I yield the well.
Here we have a late arriving amendment here. Secretary, read the amendment.
Senate Amendment Number 1 by Senator Anavitarte of the 31st to amend Senate Bill 3EX by inserting after automatic repeal on line 8 the following: to revise provisions related to certain recounts of votes by inserting on after line 49 the following: Section 1.1. Said chapter is further amended in Code Section 21-2-495 relating to procedure for recount or recanvass of votes, losing candidates' right to a recount, and the rules and regulations by adding a new subsection to read as follows: D.1.1. Any other provision of this code section to the contrary notwithstanding, prior to certification of the election results, each superintendent shall complete a manual recount of all votes cast in any election: special election, election runoff, special election runoff, primary, special primary, primary runoff, or special primary runoff on the two races at the top of the ballot, provided, however, that if there is only one race on a ballot, a manual recount of that race is required. 2. If upon the conclusion of a recount pursuant to paragraph 1 of this subsection, it is determined that the original count was incorrect, the returns of and all papers prepared by the superintendent or the Secretary of State shall be corrected accordingly prior to the certification of such election by the superintendent. Mr. President, that completes the orders.
Senator Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we resolve debate.
It is in order. All right, so his motion is in order. I realize you got an objection, so we will take a vote on the motion to resolve debate. All those in favor of the pro tems? Those. So, all right, so motion to table is a higher, takes rank. So we will vote on motion to table. All those in favor of the table will vote yay. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to table, the yeas are 19, the nays are 33, and this motion has failed. The motion by the pro tem, Minority Leader, would you like, do you have a motion? Let me guess what this is.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, go ahead.
Is it a motion to adjourn now?
Yes.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
Yes, Mr. President.
When you've done this a few times, I tell
Yes, we have.
I almost know what your hand you're going to play is, you know? You dealing from the right or the left. So, all right, so the motion to adjourn does take precedence. So all those in favor of the motion to adjourn will vote yay. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 19th, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, is it not true if we were to adjourn right now, all the property tax relief bills that failed earlier would not be able to be reconsidered?
Senator knows what he speaks. On the motion to adjourn, the yeas are 18, the nays are 33, and this motion has failed. Now, recognize the pro tem. Pro tem, renew your motion, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we resolve debate.
That is in order. Move that we resolve debate. All those in favor of the pro tem will vote yay. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Recognize Senator from 35th. What purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that we heard from the majority leader in a rousing speech the other day that they want to have this debate with Democrats, and every chance we get to have a debate, it's cut short?
I tell you what, Senator, it's tough around here sometimes.
Yeah, no debate. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
On the motion to resolve debate, the yeas are 33, the nays are 19, and this motion has prevailed. Senator from the 31st, would you like to speak to your amendment?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to be very brief, this amendment addresses a couple of very specific issues. The Senate, the majority party, has constantly, every single year, done everything possible to make sure elections are secure. The outgoing, and honestly, thank goodness, the outgoing Secretary of State has continuously been a barrier, has not taken up the recommendations of the Senate nor the House in our deliberations going back for several years. This amendment basically strengthens the election counting process, ensuring that the top 2 races on the ballot are counted and creates an intentional process for every citizen in Georgia that they know that when that paper goes in the machine, when it gets out, that every ballot is going to be counted at the end of the day, so they have confidence in their system to make sure every vote is counted. So, Mr. President, I yield the will.
Senator's yielded. Senator from the 22nd, Senator from the Minority Leader, are you going to present the minority report or somebody else? Okay. Because we're in the posture right now where we're going to allow 3 people to speak. Doesn't matter what order they speak in, and then we'll have the minority report. Okay? All right. I'll recognize Senator from the 14th. And this is 5 minutes each. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're only here because the majority failed to do its job for years. We're only here because the majority failed to get this fixed during regular session. So now at the last minute, over the objection of a minority that is going to be completely excluded from the process, we are here on the Senate floor about to take a vote, but it gets worse. We're now amending the bill to add superfluous layers of election process, manual recounts for races that do not enhance the integrity or security of these elections relative to the costs they will impose on election administrators. And why? Because of election denial. Because we can't let go, apparently, Republicans, I'm not a Republican, of the 2020 election result 2 presidential cycles ago. And one man's fragile ego. We put the poster board up. We've went through this. That Donald Trump's ego is the reason why Republicans have been committed to adding layers and layers of unnecessary process and doubt and questioning to election processes throughout the state. There's a tale about the scorpion and the frog that you might have heard before. Scorpion offers to, or what is it, the frog, I guess, offers to bring the scorpion across a body of water. And the frog is like, well, sorry guys, this is a stressful environment. The frog says to the scorpion, if I take you across, you're just going to sting me. And we're both going to sink and you'll die because we'll be floating on my back. And if I die, you die too. And the scorpion says, don't worry, I won't do that. Well, mid-route across the water, what happens? The scorpion stings the frog and the frog says, I thought we talked about this. And the scorpion says, well, it's in my nature. It's in my nature to sting the frog, and I couldn't do anything else. Folks, the primaries were over on Tuesday. There's no more need to throw red meat to your base. And yet, here we are. The scorpion, the Republican majority on election issues, cannot deviate from the doubt and the lies about the 2020 election. And as a result, you're going to add, at the last minute, when we desperately need a bill to fix the QR codes, you are going to add unnecessary, burdensome requirements to the election system that only make our systems harder to administer and which continue to sow doubt among the people of Georgia that their election results are fair. All the Democrats will be voting no on this version of a bill that should have been done the right way the first time years ago. And voters in November will remember that at this critical moment, rather than resolve this before it goes to courts, resolve this in the way the legislature should have, adult human beings in this room should have, voters will remember that the Republican Party on this issue is the scorpion, and that they know nothing else except how to sting. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 35th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Come today standing opposed to this bill. I want to share a couple of things that I think is important for all of us and the public to hear about being principled. No matter our party affiliation, everybody in here, we strive to be principled folks. But somehow, when we get in an environment called local politics, we put principles to the side, and it's all about power, and it's all about winning. So these comments that I'm sharing, I'm hoping that when Democrats are in the majority, that I would actually listen to my own advice and not only have this posture as the minority party. But I think it's important that we all recount what just happened here, is that over the last several weeks, Democrats were not included in any discussions about this bill. Not included. This isn't about party. It just so happens that Democrats make up over 90% of black voters in Georgia, so that means that black voters were not at the table. We also have a large percentage of women in the state of Georgia, and so those women were not at the table. The issue is that even if we don't get our way, we are in the minority, so that happens. I think principled people would agree that we should at least be at the table, listening to those suggestions. I think it just makes sense. And it's strange to be here and individually know that y'all are very principled folks, and then when we work collectively, all of a sudden those principles go out the window. It's all about power. It's strange. There are several issues. I listened to the committee, the ethics committee, where this bill came through, and I noticed that the Democrats were only allowed to see the bill like the moment they walked into committee, where there was a small group of men for weeks hammering out the details well before that. And now in a matter of a couple of days, here it is on the Senate floor with no debate, using the rules of the Senate to make sure that we depress debate instead of having real substantive debate. I just think that matters. Just person to person, human to human, no matter what your political party is. So let us remember, as we're voting today, if we claim to be principled folks, just know that when you remain silent through an unprincipled process, you're a part of it. And again, it's hard when you're in the majority, but it's harder when you're in the minority. But when Democrats win and we have the majority in here, it is my hope and my prayer that we are principled in how we move forward. We know that's hard work. I'll leave with I'll speak in language that fellow lovers of Jesus understand. In the 6th month, I'm going to read from the 6th chapter of Jeremiah. And this has been on my heart all week, and I'm just going to read it out loud. Some of you may be familiar with it. This is Jeremiah chapter 6. I'll start at verse 13. For from the least of the greatest, everyone is greedy for unjust gain, and from prophet to priest, everyone deals falsely. They have treated the wound of my people carelessly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. They acted shamefully. They committed abomination, yet they were not ashamed. They did not know how to blush. Therefore, they shall fall among those who fall. All at the time I will punish them. They shall be overthrown, says the Lord. Thus says the Lord, stand at the crossroads and look, and ask for the ancient path where the good way lies, and walk in it and find rest for your souls. Let us not fall for this last line here. It says, but they say, we will not walk in it. My prayer is that we look for the ancient path, for the good way forward, and walk in it. I yield the well.
Recognize Senator from the 31st. You got some scripture you want to read?
Maybe I should. Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be brief. I love hearing what I guess is supposed to be provocative comments, but I don't know that it's really provocative. Talking about, the virtues that Georgians should have. And I know they want to talk, Democrats want to talk about the election and they want to talk about all these things. And, Republicans, all we want is power. Power, power, power. Our party represents millions of female voters across this state. Our party represents Latinos like myself, African Americans, and people across this entire state and across America that want to pursue happiness. And so when we see this morning the Democrats want to get up and vote against tax relief, stopping that pursuit of happiness that Georgians want, one of those American virtues that they just want to continue to trample on, that's silencing the citizens of Georgia. They want to talk about power. Yeah, they want power over individual families. You're right. That's what this is about to them. They want the government to tell them what to do. They want the power to tell police to not keep communities safe. They want the power to tax our industries to death so they move to another state. So when we talk about tranquility, we talk about moderation, and at the end of the day, even when we talk about resolution, and having the resolve to power through and fight the tyrannical agenda and vision that the minority party seems to want to shove down every Georgian's throat, we can have that discussion. Again, some politicians are going to want to come up here, and when we leave here, be very provocative. But this is a very simple discussion in terms of where are we going as a state, what Georgians want, and they're not going to be tricked into these, admirations or these mirages that some of these politicians want to get up here and give in terms of what's best for the community when they trample the communities that they even serve every single day. So, Mr. President, as we move to close the debate here in a second, we're going to continue to stand with the citizens of Georgia, every citizen, no matter where they're from, no matter what their walk of life is, no matter their view of election, integrity, or otherwise, in terms of what they believe the economy is. Our job is to serve every single Georgian and listen to them and empower them to join us in this process, this open, transparent process in this republic that we all get to call our home. So, Mr. President, with that, I yield the will.
Senators yielded. Okay, here's the posture win. I'm going to, the minority leader is going to speak, and then let the senator from the 41st give the minority report. And then we will close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. Just a couple of quick points. One of the reasons that the minority party wanted to have representation on this particular commission is the fact of the matter is when it comes to these elections, and also this amendment actually proves it, it's very difficult to have trust with people that put their trust in all sorts of different entities. Let's kind of go through historical analysis here right quick and just look at three people that kind of talked about the election was not fair in 2020, or the election was stolen in 2020, that Republicans actually listened to, and not only listened to, actually brought in for hearings, actually promoted, actually said that these persons were actually reliable people to actually say that the election had been stolen. One was a guy named Edward Solomon, who basically was a YouTube person, who Republicans actually put out there to show that Georgia's election had actually been stolen because he had come up with a YouTube algorithm, which later Bill Barr, which as you know was the Attorney General for President Trump, said at best his conclusions were idiotic, mindless, baseless, and completely false. But these are the kind of people that actually were put in front of the American people to say that the 2020 election wasn't stolen, and not one person in this particular chamber, as far as Republicans are concerned, said anything that these guys were wrong. Give you another one. You remember Mike Lindell? He's a pillow magnet. Has nothing to do with cybersecurity, but he was a pillow magnet. He was running around saying that he had a witness by the name of Dennis Montgomery, who had came up and decided that there was something called Hammer and Scorecard. Hammer and Scorecard was, he said, was a CIA computer. That was the Hammer. Scorecard was a software proposal. And that the Hammer was connecting with the software to actually steal the 2020 election. And that this was actually presented to the American people and actually promoted by the president. And not one person in here ever said that these things were inaccurate. And he was supposedly a CIA operative. And part of his CIA operative was that he actually left the CIA with 600 million pages worth of documents. 600 million pages what he supposedly left the CIA with, which of course was false. But it goes further than that, because Mike Lindell's actually bet $5 million. $5 million that nobody could prove his theory that the election was stolen was incorrect. And that he was going to have this guy, Dennis Montgomery, actually come and present his findings. Well, when it was time to actually present his findings, it was going to be streamed live. When it was time to present his findings, Mr. Montgomery called in and said he had a stroke and he couldn't come. And then Mr. Lindell, who actually bet $5 million, well, on April 20th, 2023, he had to pay $5 million to someone who completely debunked his theory. This is somebody that rode around the country, flew around the country, that none of y'all said anything about, that said that he was inaccurate. And he bet the country $5 million they couldn't prove his theory was inaccurate. Somebody proved it was inaccurate. And just on April 20th of 2023, look it up, an arbitration court said, you owe this person $5 million. These are the kind of people that you guys actually put in front of the American people, and you continue to do that. And then lastly was a report on dealing with Atrium, Michigan, and dealing with that particular incident where you had votes actually were kind of different, but they determined that was a human error. And those people in the Republican Party actually paid persons to come in and say the election had been stolen in Atrium. Once again, the Department of Homeland Security, Trump's Department of Homeland Security, said that was completely false. And he actually tweeted about it on 11 times and actually mentioned it on the January 6th Insurrection Day, that what had happened in Atrium actually occurred and the election had been stolen. This is why you guys can't be trusted. This is why we needed members of the minority party within this particular commission. And this is why even the amendment today speaks once again to where you can't be trusted. Because you never once said anything about these people. You actually fell in line behind these people. Your own president actually did tweets about these people, all of which have been debunked by his own administration. With that, I yield the well.
Recognize Senator from the 41st. This will be the last speaker. She's giving the minority report, and then we'll move on to voting.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today in opposition to this bill for a few reasons, but I want to start out by addressing the amendment that was just placed on our desk. I want to be clear about what's happening in that amendment. The author and the people who are co-sponsoring this have determined that all 159 counties, all municipalities must do a hand recount of every single ballot cast in the top 2 races in every single election. Let's put that in perspective. You're talking about when we say have an election for a governor. Fulton County, hundreds of thousands of votes are cast, and in order for this, if this amendment were to pass, Fulton County will have to hire a ton of people to come in and hand count every ballot for both the Senate, U.S. Senate race and the gubernatorial race. And it's not just Fulton County. You all always talk about Fulton County. We're always waiting on Fulton County to get their stuff together. Well, now you are ensuring that Fulton County cannot certify their election results for days. A party that talks about being a conservative party is adding an incredible amount of expense on top of every single county by requiring them to have to hand count these ballots. And what's more, there are no parameters in this amendment. It just says that if the hand count does not match essentially the original count, so if the hand count is off by 1 vote, then we negate all the machine counts. If it's off by 100 votes, there's no parameters. There are no parameters. So what if, by chance, the humans get it wrong and they miscount substantially? We don't have any checks and balances. There's no call for a second recount to confirm. It's just messy. And it throws our election process into grave uncertainty, which I actually think may be the point. Asking counties to bear the burden, both the financial and the time, but also simply asking people to come regardless of the importance of that election, which all elections are important, but regardless of all the circumstances around it, they have to hand count, is an absurd proposition. If we say that we are committed to getting election results quickly and efficiently. So I want to be clear, that's why the minority party will be voting no against hand recounts, because it's just not practical to do that for every single election without making sure that we provide additional provisions for all of our counties to make that happen. That's number one. But number two, I want to talk to the bigger bill and the bigger issue of why we're here. To be clear, this bill could have had 55 votes on the board, probably, or at least close to that, if we had simply stuck to the governor's proclamation. The proclamation tells us to come here during a special session and address the QR code matter. That is dealt with in 3 lines. Lines 68, 69, and 70. That takes care of our QR code issue. That's what we were called here to do, and I am quite clear that the minority party would have been happy to vote for a clean bill that did simply just that. But instead, the Republican Party, the majority party, has gone into a back room and put together a bill that has no consultation from the minority party, and in fact, they didn't even talk amongst one another. Why is it taking us so long to get to a vote today? Because 5 men in a back room wrote a bill that they didn't even bother to talk to all of their own colleagues about. The own Republican Party wasn't on the same page about this bill. But we had a sham of a process where 5 men went to a back room, wrote up a bill that they all agreed upon, sent it to a committee, called it a committee process, but it was a sham of a committee because we were allowed to make no amendments whatsoever, and then brought it to the floor with the promise that amendments would be possible again, and yet once again showed their hand, offer an amendment, and immediately resolve debate so that we could not offer any real amendments. This entire process has shown us that the majority party has no interest whatsoever in making sure that the voices of people who are not Republicans are heard. And to be clear, we live now in a state where we are blue. and red, which often makes purple. We are a purple state where there are Democrats and Republicans who come together to make an incredible amount of diversity in this state. And what you all have done is created a piece of legislation that casts out the votes of people who are blue. You've created a process where how we vote in the future will be determined by only one party. And then all parties will come in and vote on those machines. You've created a process, in fact, where you have created an open season for any conspiracy theorists out there. Every single election denier that is out there that is just waiting will already have baked into the process a reason to distrust, because they know that you all created a process where voices were not included. The community is not included in this, and the minority party is not included in this process. Now, if we were having a real debate, you all would come back and say, well, don't worry, the legislature still gets to decide. No, the only thing that we get to decide is whether or not we're going to provide the money for it or not. How the elections are created, the systems that we pick, all of that is going to be selected by the majority party's representatives. And all we will be left to do as Democrats is decide whether or not we're going to provide the money or not. And you all put us in the impossible posture of obviously having to provide the money because we need to have elections. This process is one of the most undemocratic processes that I've experienced in my time in this legislature. And you all have done it on purpose. You've rammed it through. You've done it in the cover of dark in back rooms where 5 white men decide for all of Georgia. All of Georgia. Democrats and Republicans and independents alike, you all decided in a back room, 5 of you, how we are going to move forward and proceed with our elections. This is unnecessary. We could have gotten to bipartisanship. All that was required was for you all to pause long enough and allow us to have representation on this selection committee. We could have gotten there, and it's a shame that we're not there. It's a shame. All you had to do was allow the minority party representation on the committee. And we could have moved forward with a nice, pretty green screen. But instead, you are wielding your power in those last final gasps as we all anticipate and wait for the moment where in November, Georgia turns blue. This is all this is. It's your final last gasp of maintaining whatever power you can possibly squeeze out. And also, by the way, snubbing your lieutenant governor by not getting him a pick at the same time. Your own lieutenant governor. This is unnecessary. And I hope that my friends across the hall, I hope that my friends and colleagues across the hall, regardless of party, will see this and will make amendments and change this so that there is fair and equal representation, not just because I want it, but because it's good for Georgia. It's good for every single one of us in this building. It's good for all of our politics, quite frankly, for us to come to consensus around how we vote in the future. That's good for all of us. Unless you're interested in getting a commentary seat where you get to make a lot of money because you continue to talk about all the ways that it's conspiracy and that our elections aren't relevant. Now, if you're interested in that, then this ensures that. But if we want to do what's good for Georgians, if we want to do what's good for our constituents, you all represent it. The majority leader said this. You represent black folks and white folks and Latino folks. You represent a wide range of people, including Democrats. Each and every one of us does. And so if you truly want to represent them, give them a seat at the table. If you truly want to make sure that your constituents are represented, that their opinions matter, then give them a seat at the table. Make sure that there's a process where community input is taken in. Make sure that there is a process where Democrats are allowed to be on this committee if you truly wanted to do that, but we already know you don't. This has been a sham and a waste of taxpayers' dollars to bring us here. And this is only going to be continued to be a further sham by wasting taxpayer dollars, by passing something that we know is unconstitutional because it exists outside of the governor's proclamation. And then you're going to force us to have to make decisions about a process that we never were included in the first place. With that, I yield the well.
Senator has yielded. Senator, did they snub me out of the process? They snubbed me out of this process? We might have to reconvene here. Do we need to stand in recess? We might need to talk about this a little bit here. That's a cruel world, isn't it? They forget about you quickly, don't they, 26? Senator from the 26. Senator? We haven't lost him already, right there. All right. Snub me like that, I tell you what, y'all be ashamed of yourselves. All right, here we go. Closed debate. Senator from the 23rd, where are you? Close it out.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we've heard a lot of rhetoric. We've heard a lot of criticism. Reality is this is a good bill that prepares Georgia for future elections, that secures the elections that we'll have in 2026 in an orderly fashion, and that allows us to do things appropriately. We haven't slighted anyone. We haven't excluded anyone. We haven't forced anyone to be included. We've simply laid the framework to ensure Georgia elections are safe and secure. It's a straightforward bill. I support the amendment. I believe it's the right thing to do to verify that our elections are accurate. I ask that you vote yes on Senate Bill 3EX. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
All right, questions on the amendment number 1, authored by the majority leader. Is there objection? There is objection. All those in favor of amendment number 1, authored by the majority leader, will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the adoption of amendment number 1, the yeas are 33, the nays are 19, and amendment number 1 is adopted. Senator from the 31st, for what purpose you rise?
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, is it not true, despite the minority party's provocative debate and conversation we're here, doesn't that board reflect that our majority, along with you, we're all united?
Senator knows what it. Recognize Senator from the 14th. What purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Oh, to that point by the majority leader about unanimity, do you think we get a hand recount on the internal caucus vote by the Republicans about whether they should be doing this or not? Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, he's quick. He is quick. Okay. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objections to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 47th, what purpose? Senator from the 47th, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. That motion that was made to adjourn, I think after we have this vote, I think it should be in order.
All right. We can look at that. On the passage as amended, the yeas are 33, the nays are 19, and this having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed as amended. Recognize the majority leader for motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate reconsider its action in failing to pass the local consent calendar.
All right, that is in order. The senator has moved that we take up the local consent calendar. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's very simple. This is a very simple vote. Do you want to give people in this state their money back? As y'all are campaigning and all this talk about power and influence and helping everyday Georgians and everything else, whatever those talking points are, that's what this vote is about. This vote is about empowering people to have money to pay their bills, afford child care, send their kids to school, go to the grocery store, and put gas in the tank of their car, or enough money to pay for the bus fare. I know somebody's going to come up after me and they're going to come up with some silly myth that that's not what this does. Property taxes, I don't care what community you live in. If you're in Dallas or you're right down the street in the neighborhood, this is all they're talking about. I'm sure my polling is the same as your polling to the minority party. If it's not, let's compare notes afterwards, because we need to do some comparisons. But at the end of the day, I want Georgia to go and look at this board. This board tells the story, the difference of our vision of this state, the future of this state, and the minority party's vision of this state. We want families to succeed. We want all families to succeed in rural Georgia and inner city Atlanta. From the suburbs to the mountains to the ocean. Amen, Senator. We agree. I love that, man. So, Mr. President, as I yield the well, I just ask for a green vote on this and send Georgians the message that you care about them, you want them to have their own money to dictate their own future of their own families. Thank you.
All right. So we're in the posture, we're just voting on whether or not to reconsider these local pieces of local legislation. So, Senator, do you want to wait until after we vote for reconsider, and then you can speak? The leader back there? Okay. All right, so the motion is to reconsider 3 local local bills on the local consent calendar. All those in favor of the majority leader's motion will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 41st, for what purpose you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that the majority party has decided to govern without us so they can continue by moving forward without us?
Oh, Senator, I wouldn't look at it like that. I wouldn't look at it like that at all. That's a glass half empty look right there, Senator. On the motion to reconsider, the yeas are 33 and the nays are 19, and this motion has prevailed. Senator from the 22nd, would you like to speak before we take these motions up? I'm pretty sure you're going to be a no on these, sir. I mean, is there anything to talk about on that?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be real brief. When you talk about vision of the state, there are two different visions of the state. One is a vision where we're not actually paying more for groceries because we're raising sales tax. One is actually a vision where we're actually trying to provide health care and not continually denying that health care and not continually refusing to help our rural communities where hospitals after hospitals continue to close. And the only thing that you can have offering them is talk about who plays in what sports. That's the vision of our state. Vision of our state is actually talking about real issues such as child care, as Georgia actually has one of the highest child care rates in the United States. Of course, one of the worst health care rates in the United States. Our vision of our state is actually trying to provide for good public education, not taken from public education and giving it actually to private entities as we basically drain the resources of our public education. So there are two different visions of the state. One is one that wants to help everybody, and one is one that wants to help small elites. And the vision of the state that wants to help everybody is the one that actually won out in the primary. And that's the one, that the vision that's going to continue to win out and will win out come November. So there are two different visions. One actually wants to increase those sales taxes, and people go to the grocery store, and it does add up quite a bit. And one that actually says we're going to help people. We're actually going to provide things for them, as we should, and not just provide for those who have. We want to make sure that everybody participates in our economy, and that's going to be the key. So we look forward to leaving here in a few days, and we look forward to having that conversation about the true vision of our state. The voters have already given you a taste of what vision they want when we had the primary, and I think come November it's going to be more than a taste. You will see exactly the vision that they're seeking. Thank you, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Okay, so we're going to take these local bills up one at a time, and Senator from the 3rd, two of these pertain to your area of the state, so you might want to speak for or against whatever we're about to vote on here. Secretary, read the caption on the first one.
Senate Bill 1EX by Senator Hodges of the 3rd, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a homestead exemption from Glenn County ad valorem taxes in the amount of the assessed value of the homestead property determined annually for the special district based on the proceeds of a new local homestead option sales tax to be imposed within the special district coterminous with Glenn County and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government recommends that this bill do pass.
Senator from the 3rd, would you like to speak to the bill?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. I would imagine in the days ahead, in the next few days, you're going to see a lot of votes like this. And I would remind my friends in the minority party, I have Glenn County, I have the city of Brunswick. And if you think that all the homeowners in Glenn County, and particularly in the city of Brunswick, are Republicans, you are wrong. We have plenty of Democrats who own homes, who have problems paying their taxes, paying their property taxes, who want relief. We've found a way to give them relief, and I hope if you vote against this in the minority party, that my friends who are Democrats in my county and in my city remember your vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Senator, you want to speak to something pertaining to Glenn County, or you just want to make a general statement in general? Because I know you have a long ways from Glenn County. How about we do this? You want to vote for this right now and then come up and speak next, or is it, huh? You'll do it after the vote? I appreciate that, Senator. The people of Glenn County appreciate that too. All those in favor of the SB1EX will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of SB1EX, the yeas are 33 and the nays are 18, and this, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore fails. I apologize, you have to have 38 on this. It fails. Senator from the 35th, would you like to talk about Brunswick now?
I know. All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to compliment my Republican colleagues really quickly. Thank you for being brave and taking up the significant issue of property tax relief. Two things can be true. That it takes a lot of bravery to do that. I think you know that Democrats are concerned that the relief that you get on one side causes a burden on the other side. That's called sales tax. I'm going to read something that I think our Republican and Democratic colleagues may think is interesting. It's from 2018. Listen carefully. It says, DeKalb has delivered on providing tax relief to county property owners, said DeKalb County CEO Michael Thurman. Thanks to the passage of two historic measures in November, the county is revolutionizing the process of extending tax relief and improved services to DeKalb County. It goes on to talk about this novel idea of creating a special tax district that relieves property tax for DeKalb County. A Democrat did that. And it was shifting the tax burden through sales tax. But here's what a Democratic leader did. And you would have known this if you invited us to the table. They excluded sales tax on food, sales tax on medicine. If you worked together with the minority party, we could have reminded you that this whole idea that you have is a Democratic idea from 2017, and we were wise enough at the time to do locally to say, you know what, let's make sure we take out sales tax for food, for medicines, and we already showed that we can take tax out for gas. But we could have put those things together and maybe done a fiscal note, maybe went into the details. Now, at the end of the day, there's just a lot of things that we could do together if we were working together. But when you have a room of just a few men who just say, you know what, we know better than everybody else, trust us, trust us, trust us, maybe we could have had something better. All I'm saying is every situation is unique. This is a Democratic idea. It's just a worse version of it. And maybe we could have come together and found a solution that could work for all of Georgia. Our challenge with affordability is not a party issue. I know we have differences on how we can address it. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that we are trying to help property owners on one end, which is great. But we're hurting working folks on the other end because sales tax tends to disproportionately affect middle and lower income folks. That's it. And if we can find a way to figure out a way together, we could do this in a way that we get almost unanimous votes. I would just hope that we can stop telling half-truths up here, because on one side we say, oh, we're doing this, but we're leaving out the other part of the story. And then sometimes our party does is we'll bring out one truth, but we'll kind of leave out the other side. When I read scripture, there's only one father of folks who tell half-truths, and that's all the way from Genesis to Revelation. So let's try to do a better job telling the more full truth. I'm not saying I got it all right. I'm looking forward to learning from my Republican colleagues, but it's hard to learn from each other if you're not invited to the table. Just remember, people out here don't care about all this other stuff. What they care about is the fact that everything costs too much. And if we continue not listening to the entire state of Georgia, don't be surprised if folks rise up in a way that you're very uncomfortable with. Let's not wait till we have that. Let's just show true leadership, build trust, not just for this next year, but for the decades to come. Thank you. I yield the well.
All right. Well, we'll go back to the bill for Brunswick, Georgia here. And I'm glad we got all that scripture out of the way there. It's like the book of Job, man. You always got bad news, man. I tell you what. So, oh, man. All right, let's read the caption.
Senate Bill 2EX by Senator Hodges III, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a homestead exemption from City of Brunswick ad valorem taxes in the amount of the assessed value of the homestead property determined annually by the special district based upon the proceeds of a new local homestead option sales tax to be imposed within the special district coterminous with Glenn County and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations recommends this bill to pass. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Senator, you're good? You wave? Senator from Brunswick would like for y'all to all vote yes on this. Oh, you want to speak? Well, come on down. Come on down, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very, very brief. I don't know about DeKalb County. I do not know about DeKalb County, but I do know that in Brunswick, Georgia, we do not pay sales taxes on groceries. We do not pay sales taxes on drugs. Where I live, we have tourists. Tourists pay about 50% of our sales taxes. I would imagine I'm not the only senator that represents the tourist area. I would imagine the people who live in Atlanta have lots and lots of tourists. People who live in Savannah have lots and lots of tourists. Columbus, just keep going. This bill is good for homeowners. It's good for Democratic homeowners. It's good for Republican homeowners. I say it again, please vote for this bill. And I hope that the homeowners who look to us will remember all of our votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Recognize Senator from the 29th.
I'm always suspicious of politicians that try to use the words in the Holy Bible to justify whatever they're doing. No, I don't, and you can press your button if you'd like to talk about it. But here's what you're doing. You're not denying the people of Brunswick the right to eliminate their property taxes and increase sales taxes. What you're doing is you're denying the people of Brunswick the right to vote. All these bills do is give the opportunities for those cities and counties that choose to have a referendum to decide if they want to do that. So please, y'all were just up here yelling and barking and crying about election integrity and all this other stuff, and now you're denying citizens of Georgia who happen to be property owners the right to vote. My single mom bought the land herself, built the house herself, and when she left the house to her only son, and I still pay property taxes on that house. And as a Harris County resident, I should have a voice in what I do and what my government collects from me, and whether I want those individuals that come into Callaway Gardens or Great Wolf or anywhere else in my district to pay sales tax so that the people that live and work and own property in my district can have more money to live, to have more money to pay down their bills, to have more money to not only recognize the American dream, but the dream that they have by living in one of the greatest states in America, the Georgia dream. So please don't come up here acting like you worrying about people having money in the pocket. You're taking away their right to vote. So get on a side. You can come up here and quote Peter, Paul, and Mary if you want to, but you're denying individuals' rights to vote. So when you do it, do me a favor. Puff your chest out and be proud of the fact you're denying people the right to vote. Because that's what you're doing. Don't come up here and stand on a false soapbox and acting like you're some champion for affordability. Because obviously by your actions since the short time we've been here, we have discovered that your argument on affordability is a hoax. And with that, I yield the will.
Senator from the 26th, are you got an announcement for us or what? Now, Senator, I gotta tell you, it is 3 minutes, unless you make it very entertaining, and I'll let it go for longer.
I might sing. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are setting a dangerous precedent. We are setting a dangerous precedent by the majority party not discussing or having input with the minority party about voting and all of these things. Local legislation was designed for those folks who are part of a district, some of another district. They're the ones that make the decision from the delegation as to when a local bill is done. But what makes it hard is that when you deny on certain bills us an opportunity or us to have a seat at the table when you cut the deal. Now things gonna change. Don't think they ain't gonna change. They're going to change. And what makes it so hard is that you act like ain't nothing gonna change. It's finna happen. Every time we talk about voting, it seems to be a problem because somehow the majority party wants to fix it or make a problem for you to vote. I want to say to you, we are not going to stop. We're going to get our folks. And when I say our folks, we're going to get folks that look like me. That look like me. To get out the bed and show up. See, we've not shown up, and we've said a lot of things where they're going to do what they want to do anyway. And you're right. They do what they want to do anyway when you don't show up to vote. So what we're going to do is show you rather than tell you. We're going to show up to vote this time.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Okay, so we are now in the posture to vote on SB 2EX. All those in favor of the motion of the bill of the local on the local consent calendar, all those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Got to have 38 to pass. Got to have 38 votes to pass. Shocking. The yeas are 33, the nays are 18, and this bill has failed. We got one more bill to go and we're done. And it's Baldwin County. Baldwin County always bringing up the rear here from my senator. Recognize the senator from the, read the caption. Senate Bill, I recognize the senator from the 25th.
Senate Bill 4EX by Senator Williams of the 25th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a homestead exemption from Baldwin County ad valorem taxes in the amount of the assessed value of the homestead property determined annually for the special district based upon proceeds of a new local homestead option sales tax to be imposed within the special district coterminous with Baldwin County and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations recommends this bill do pass.
Recognize the senator from the 25th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, I come before you with something different. This concerns Baldwin County, and Baldwin County is in dire financial condition. First of all, I'm disappointed in the talkers going on right now. When Senator Lucas was up here speaking, I didn't hear talking. Everybody was reverent and gave him attention. I'm not worthy of the same attention? Come on. Baldwin County, our chairman of our county commissioners is a Democrat. I was texting him last night because this bill was coming up, and he's telling me he's going to be supporting it. He's going to be encouraging other Democrats to vote for this. Look, we have property owners in Baldwin County that are not just Republicans, they're Democrats too. I sit at the table with a widow who tells me she's probably going to lose her house because now she's lost half her income, and between taxes and insurance, she's going to lose her house. You know, our county just borrowed $5 million so they could meet payroll. And they're telling us that they're probably going to raise our taxes 30%. Who? Our property owners, our homeowners, our people on fixed incomes, people who are on Social Security, people who are on state retirement that has not had a COLA in 18 years, their tax is about to go up 30%. You know, this is not a partisan bill. This is nonpartisan. This comes down to everybody in our county. My county is 50-50. I hope you'll consider voting for this. I hope you'll consider being humane and feeling, and I hope you'll give it consideration and you'll vote for it. I thank you for being quiet and giving me the same respect that we have given other senators as they come and speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Is there any other person wish to speak for or against the measure? Senator from the 41st. You've been so quiet today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to be really clear that the majority party is giving us this supposition that the only way to alleviate property taxes is for all of us, at 2/3 of us, to vote on this particular bill. I want to be clear. If counties are truly invested in lowering property taxes, they can do that without us. They can lower their millage rate. If counties are truly bought in to relief for their property owners, they don't need to come up here to the Capitol to do that. They can simply lower their millage rates. So this is not on the minority party for not participating in this whole sham of lowering property taxes but increasing sales tax. This is not on the minority party. If counties truly want to lower the burden on their property owners, then lower their millage rate. I yield the will.
All right. Senator from 31st, are you wishing to speak?
Hey, Mr. President, I'm going to be very brief. I just want to clear up one thing about what this sham is. As my friend from West Georgia reminds us, all this is doing is putting this on a ballot for people to vote. So this sham, I want Georgia citizens to hear, is that Democrats don't want you to go vote and make your own decision about what's best for your family to put money back in your pockets. They think it's a sham to let people go vote. So just remember that, and I'm sure we're going to remind Republicans and Democrats across the state that they want to take the decisions out of your hands, because we got politicians around the state that probably are afraid to lower the millage rate, and the citizens should address that when it gets to the ballot box. But we're trying to give the empowerment back to the people to help their families, put it on a ballot, and let them vote. That's all this does. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Senator, Mr. Leader, you want to add more to this?
Mr. President, I request unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 6th for business outside the Capitol.
Senator from the 6th is excused. Okay. Senator from the 35th, your light's on. Wait, what do you want? What do you want here? Huh, you want to talk? Just parliamentary inquiry. Just parliamentary inquiry. You've made enough points here today. Well, it's local bills now. Y'all voted up or down right now. All right, all those in favor of the bill, vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 33, the nays are 15, and this bill has failed. It has to have 38 votes. All right, Pro Tem.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that Senate Rule 3-1.2A be suspended to allow the Senate hopper to close 1 hour after adjournment. This will allow the staff of the Secretary of Senate's office to leave in a timely manner and not have to stay till 4 o'clock. This isn't any kind of trick.
Wait a minute. Did I see a thumbs up from back there? Look at that. I tell you what, we're singing Kumbaya now. I tell you. We're gonna let Jack's staff get home a little bit early, man. I tell you what. No objection. Then motion prevails. All right, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move the Senate stand adjourned pursuant to SR 3EX until 1 p.m. Monday, June 22nd.
All right, the Majority Leader has moved. Does anyone have any announcements? Recognize Senator from the 24th. For what purpose you rise?
President, I would like for everyone to remember and have a happy Father's Day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Remember your fathers that's already gone on, but I want everyone to have a happy Father's Day.
All right, happy Father's Day. Mr. Secretary has got some announcements.
Mr. President, on Monday, June 26th, the joint Senate and House Education and Youth Committees will meet at 8 a.m. in 606 CLOB. The Finance Committee will meet at 11 a.m. in 125 of the Capitol. Mr. President, that completes the order.
All right. Any other announcements? The Pro Tem has box lunches for everyone in the ante room. So, all right, Majority Leader has made the motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes clearly have it. We're adjourned.